You know, when we think about whether a company is successful, our brains usually jump to one thing: profit, right? But what if I told you that number is really only telling you half the story? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful framework that helps measure what truly drives success, especially in a service business. It's all about looking way beyond just the bottom line. Okay, let's get into it.
So, here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off by talking about why profit just isn't enough. Then I'll introduce you to the building block model and its three key parts: dimensions, standards, and rewards. We'll even see it in action with a great case study, and then we'll wrap up by talking about the real bottom line.
All right, first up, beyond just profit. This is all about why those old-school report cards for businesses can actually point you in the wrong direction. I mean, it's the classic question, isn't it? What were the profits? What was the growth? And look, those things are absolutely important, but relying only on them is kind of like trying to drive a car by only looking in the rearview mirror.
And this slide right here gets to the absolute heart of it. On one hand, you have financial numbers like profit. They tell you about your past performance, where you've already been. They can even get a little fuzzy depending on the accounting rules. But your future success? Well, that's a whole different ballgame. That depends on things like quality and innovation. If you're only chasing short-term profit, you might actually be making decisions that hurt the company down the road.
So, if that rearview mirror isn't giving us the full picture, what do we need? We need a better dashboard. And that is exactly where Fitzgerald and Moon's building block model comes in. The model itself is beautifully simple. It's built on three core ideas, or building blocks. First, you figure out the dimensions. That's just deciding on the right things to measure. Then you set the standards. These are your specific targets for success. And finally, you design the rewards that are going to motivate your whole team to hit those targets. It's just a super clear path from big picture strategy to everyday action. So let's break down that first block, dimensions. The model splits them into two really powerful categories. This gives you a complete view. It's about looking back at what happened, but also planning for what's ahead.
First, you've got your results dimensions. Think of these as your lagging indicators. They measure the final scores of your past decisions. Things like financial performance, your profit, your sales, and competitiveness, like your market share, all fit right in here. They tell you how you did.
But this next part, this is where the model gets really powerful. These are the determinants. These are your leading indicators. They're the things you do today that will create your results tomorrow. We're talking about stuff like the quality of your service, your capacity for innovation, how flexible you are, and how well you're using your resources. These are the real engines of future success.
Okay, so you know what to measure. That's a huge step. But it's not enough. Now we have to bring those dimensions to life by setting clear targets and inspiring people to act. And that's where standards and rewards come into play. You know, setting a good standard isn't just about picking some random number. For it to actually work, it has to pass a three-point check. First, ownership. Is it crystal clear who's responsible for hitting this target? Second, achievability. Is it a tough but realistic goal, or is it basically impossible? And third, equity. Is it fair? Because if your targets aren't seen as fair and achievable, they can totally kill motivation instead of building it. And that flows right into rewards. A great reward system also has three keys. Clarity, is it simple? Does everyone get how it works? Motivation, are the rewards actually something people want? And this last one is so important. Controllability. Are you rewarding people for things they can actually control? Because there is nothing more frustrating than being judged on something that's totally out of your hand.
All this theory is great, but let's see how this actually works out in the real world. We're going to look at a case study of a package delivery company called Smart Courier.
So here's the deal. Smart Courier is a successful local company, but their profits are starting to take a hit. Why? Because these massive global competitors have moved into their turf. They need a new game plan, fast, and they need to figure out what really matters so they can compete.
And this is where the model gets super practical. Just look at how Smart Courier can turn those abstract ideas into real, concrete targets. For their results, sure, they're tracking sales growth and market share, but to drive those results, they're focused on the determinants. Quality, that's a 98% on-time delivery target. Innovation, that's measured by how many customers are using their new app. Flexibility and resource utilization also get clear, measurable goals. Now the whole team knows exactly what they need to do every day to win.
So what about their rewards? Well, it turns out Smart Courier was already doing a pretty great job here.
They use a mix of things, not just money, but also stuff like flexible schedules. This kind of variety helps motivate different people in different ways, which aligns perfectly with the whole model.
And this quote right here, this really nails it. The whole point of this entire exercise is to build a system that connects what every single person does day in and day out directly to the biggest goals of the company. It makes your strategy personal and makes it actionable.
So after all that, what is the real bottom line? Let's boil it all down to the key things you should walk away with.
Here's the rundown. First, if you want to build a business that lasts, you have got to look past just profit and start measuring the things that will drive your future success. The building block model gives you a perfect way to do that. It connects your big picture strategy to the actions people take every day. It forges this clear, logical chain from what you measure to the targets you set to how you motivate your team. And what you get in the end is an entire organization pulling in the exact same direction. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you're looking at a company you really admire, don't just think about their profits. Instead, ask yourself, what are the hidden determinants, the quality, the innovation, the little things they do that are really driving their success? What are they building today that's going to make them win tomorrow?